Let's talk some football. And JP, I've been trying to phrase this in a way that is not hyperbolic, that is not getting out ahead of itself. But based off what we've seen from Jayden Daniels so far, it would seem like things are trending where at the very least, Jayden and Marcus Mariota are going to be fairly close. And if that's the case, I don't know why you wouldn't just start Jayden Daniels. Am I crazy to be thinking that already? Is it way too early? Am I misreading the performances? What have you seen from Jayden Daniels so far?
I mean, big picture, I don't think he's the starter. I don't think there's a real competition coming. I think Marcus knows it. I think everybody knows it. What the coolest thing I think with Jayden is kind of what you hear of the off-the-field performance, of what he's getting done, like film study, all those sorts of things. That he's beating. John Allen today said that he's beating him into the facility, and Allen likes to be one of the first guys there. Allen gets there about 6:45, and Jayden's beating him there. Obviously, we know the stories from LSU about having to get his own key code to the facility and all that. But from a straight, what we're watching on the field, there's at least one or two moments every practice where you watch Jayden and you're like, wow, that's a pro. Like wow, that's a really high level play. And I think some of it happens in big moments, like that throw he hit to Dotson down the sideline, kind of right in front of us, was just beautiful. But there was a moment where I think you were standing with Logan, and I was saying right there, there are times where it seems like he's already kind of figuring out pre-snap what he wants to do. And granted, it's only 7-on-7, but the ball at times is out so fast and in good position to a guy that maybe is just running like a little underneath dig. You know what I mean? Like it's just a quick hitter, but if you're able to see and execute those quick hitters early as a rookie when it's really difficult, it just speaks volumes about the type of ceiling the player has, I think.
No, I agree with that. I think it also speaks to the floor because I think the way they're mixing and matching personnel, both with the ones and twos playing with and against both quarterbacks. In other words, Jayden goes out there and he's got Terry and Jahan and everybody with him, and he's playing against Bobby Wagner and Frankie Luvu and whoever the starting secondary is of the day. And then everybody rotates but the quarterback, and then eventually the quarterback rotates, and it's the same thing. It's not like even last year where you're comparing Brissett with twos against twos versus Howell with ones against ones. These are pretty like-for-like reps in an offense that's new to both players, and Daniels is just flat-out performing better. I know we don't have any O-line, D-line yet. There's no protections he's having to deal with. There's no rush. There's no nothing. But of the reps that we've seen, the level is just very clearly different between Daniels and Mariota, and the advantage is not with the veteran.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's really, I don't think that's really going to be a real thing, even when we get to August. I think you bring Mariota for a very specific purpose of being the backup. I think everybody's aware of the situation. I get that it's something. I think Mariota kind of got asked about being the starter. I thought his answer was really good. I get some people are skeptical of Mariota's ability to be the number two because of the Netflix documentary in Atlanta. I think that was such a uniquely bad situation that it's not going to have much impact here. But to your greater point that Daniels already looks better than Mariota, I agree with you.
JP Finlay with us here on the Hoffman Show, of course, 10 to 2 daily over on 106.7 The Fan with B. Mitch. What else stood out for you today? They mixed and matched some more personnel. They introduced some new drills. As you walked away from practice outside of Daniels, what was top of mind for you?
One thing, I love how active the coaching staff is. And, during drills, on the field, both, in between reps with, real coaching, but also during reps. And, kind of, whether it's rushing the passer or pretending to be a linebacker that a tight end has to kind of fight off. It's fun to watch. I think they're keeping the practice fresh, having the refs there today versus last week when we were there, they were kind of running those simultaneous 7-on-7. So a lot more guys were getting a lot more work with different position groups and stuff. Whereas today it was just the 7-on-7. Did you notice, and they didn't make them do a ton of it, but when they were doing 7-on-7, they had the beefy fellas running, not quite gassers, but they had them running on the other side field, which I was like, damn, you got the big guys running in May. From a individual performance, I thought Jeremy Chin was a guy I got to watch a little bit today. I thought he's big, man. And I think if his role is kind of like a box safety or something, I think he can help you a lot. I don't know that he can run like a true safety. I think I said it to Logan. The kid Yankoff just keeps making plays.
Yep.
And that's how you get noticed as an undrafted free agent. I thought I'm curious if you noticed this. There was a play that almost like perfectly encapsulates the Emmanuel Forbes rookie season. It was in Mariota. They were doing the goal line 7-on-7.
Yep.
And the goal line 7-on-7 didn't go well, I don't think, for either Mariota or Daniels. It's just not a lot of real estate, and when there's no threat of the run, it's kind of the defense has a lot of advantages there. But Mariota's kind of rolling right, and Forbes has really good coverage on Diami, and the play just kind of keeps going, and then eventually Diami cuts back corner of the end zone, and Forbes realizes it like a hair too late. Mariota puts a good throw, and it's a good catch by Diami, and he's like a fingernail away from being able to for the PBU, and it's just like that just like has been the Forbes experience thus far, I'd say, for Washington.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Forbes next anyway. So that play is interesting because I actually feel like it's not even like got to reach a little bit further, whatever. Like, you have to react quicker. And it's just reframing what you said, right? Which is, if he sees that ball, that's an easy pick. And you just have to have the recognition where, because he's like in good position, which is the Emmanuel Forbes experience, right? He's in good technical position. He's there. There's a play to be made. And if you realize as that receiver is running away from you, if you just turn your head back, you'll probably see the throw coming, and the quarterback's going to throw it right to you. And Mariota throws the ball right past Forbes as he turns around, and the ball goes by him, and he can't get his hands up fast enough because he just doesn't see the ball. I think that's it. Like, that's the kind of stuff where, for a guy that had such great ball skills and played with such great anticipation in college, I just kind of wonder where it went. Like, what was he taught that has his mental game so off? Or is it just not translating to the NFL level, which is obviously a much bigger problem, because you can change where his eyes are. You can change what he's looking at with technique and coaching. If he can't play at the speed, he can't process it fast enough, well, then he's not going to be successful in the league, period.
Well, and to your point, just like going one step further on the recognition side of it, like if you're playing red zone 7-on-7, like you've got help deep and to the side. Like, you're in the end zone, bro. He's not going to beat you deep. Like, he's not going to beat you to the edge. The zone literally ends, and so I think that should have, like, if he realizes, okay, Diami switched his route, and now he's breaking for the corner, like, you should know how close you are to that corner to be in position to turn your head and make a play. And you don't want to, it's minutia, right? We're talking about a single snap in May, but it just,
great point.
It just felt indicative of something larger.
Yeah. So the other question I was going to ask about with Forbes is Dan Quinn was asked about Forbes being a part of the return group today. We saw him return a kickoff. He was catching punts a couple weeks ago, and basically DQ was like, he didn't do it at Mississippi State, but he got his hands on a lot of balls, and he brought a lot of them to the house. Like, clearly he's got return skills that are fantastic as a defender. We want to see if there's more opportunity there. Do you think there's more to it than that in terms of, like, we got to find special teams value for a guy that's not going to be a starting cornerback? Or is it just, hey, we're experimenting, getting to know these guys. Let's throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and see what sticks?
DQ's official explanation was, we're trying to find unique talents for all our guys, just stuff we didn't know about them. And I like that from, like, an experimental mindset. There probably is some conversation about, like, what do we have in Forbes? What else can we get out of him? Because what I've said with B is that, like, okay, like, you know what his liabilities are. And right now he's an extreme, almost unplayable defensive player when it comes to the run game. Like, you almost can't have him on the field. So you got to find some stuff that he does really well to overcompensate for that. And, like, ideally he's an asset with these ball skills we've heard so much about and not really seen. But all that said, said, bro, you can't put that dude on a punt return. He's too small. I mean, the type of high-speed collisions that happen on punt returns, and not to suggest that a guy like Jamison Crowder is big, but he's cagey and he's not a tall guy, but he's fairly, he's muscular for his size. I can't imagine Forbes playing on a punt return. I just can't envision that.
It feels wild. And today watching him again and being up close, I just still can't believe how skinny he is. Like, his ankles look like my wrists, and I'm not the biggest dude that's ever walked the planet.
Right.
It's nuts.
Although he did seem to be running with the ones today, as much as you could assess that there were ones. He seemed to be out there.
Yeah, no, he was definitely up first today, and that's why I asked Dan the question that I did about the depth chart, because people were like, "Oh my God, Emmanuel's running with the twos last week," and I was like, "How much do you guys care about the depth chart this time of year?" And he's like, "We don't," and I was like, "That's what I thought. Thanks for confirming." JP Finlay with us.
That was a good question, just to kind of get on the record for the depth chart chasers in May.
100%. Because, I mean, we talked about this earlier, JP, in the show, and I'm sure you and B. Mitch talk about this. This feels like a very B. Mitch type of topic. Like, they're not hitting yet. There's no way to order a depth chart when there's no physicality in the practice, because how you handle physicality is a pretty important part of football.
Right.
So, just, felt worth, as you said, getting on the record. JP Finlay, of course, host of B. Mitch and Finlay, with us here on the Hoffman Show. This is the second straight year, JP, where we've seen very, very little run game work. Last year it was new. This year, we kind of had some of the macro discussions last year. What do you make of kind of the way they're handling this as a passing camp over these first couple of weeks? Is this just kind of the NFL we're in now, or do you look at some of the rushing results they had last year and get nervous about their ability to do it without focusing too much on it on the practice field in May?
It's a good question. I think it's the right approach, especially with a rookie quarterback that's learning a new offense. If an established quarterback and they want to work on the run install, go for it. But I think you've got a rookie quarterback, new offense, not to mention no O-line, no pads. Like, how much real run work can you get? And, to me, I think DQ talked about that. Maybe it was Cliff. I think it was Dan. Talked about that like 2 weeks ago and said, this time of year, these workouts are primarily for our skill position guys. And when we get to August is when it really starts to matter more for the linemen and the run game. And I think it's just an honest approach of what you can get done realistically. Like, what is the point of trying to set up your run install right now when I guess you can just kind of work through your own and line up your linemen? But I think it's the right approach. It'd be different if this was not even a guy like Mahomes, but somebody who's more established, like Baker in Tampa. If they want to work on the run game right now, like, go for it, because you know who the quarterback is, you know what the offense is, but here is just, there's so much to learn in such a short time frame.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree with all that as well. Like, it's without the contact, because like Logan and I would talk about it last year, and Logan's like, well, you can work on the timing, you can work on the combinations. I do think there's something to like IDing guys and getting kind of visual looks at that, but you can do that in meeting rooms, and the timing is going to be different once there's real contact. So in some ways, you'd be building up kind of false reps. And so I don't know how much there is to that. All right, last thing I want to ask you about, a guy that stood out to me. What have you seen from Frankie Luvu so far? What's been your first impression of him?
Dude, the speed and athleticism really stands out. It's been really impressive. I mean, most people will tell you his most impressive attribute is the ability to rush the passer, and obviously we're not going to see that in May. And if he can deliver in that scenario, like I think the staff is hoping and expecting, they might really have something there. He's been quite impressive. Size, speed, seems really smart. There was a play today where Mariota kind of scrambled out, and it almost looked like a designed scramble, which I find kind of odd in 7-on-7, but whatever. And Luvu chased him down, and in 7-on-7, nobody's getting hit, and et cetera. But if that was a real play, that quarterback needs to get out of bounds or slide because Luvu was about to break him in half. It was pretty impressive to see him get to the sideline like that.
No, that play is why I asked the question. His speed is crazy. Like, I am looking forward to when Jayden Daniels has a license to run, and he does, and seeing him and Luvu kind of run next to each other because it feels like Luvu's got that kind of speed. We'll see. Jayden Daniels is real fast, but definitely seems like there's a reason they gave that dude a 3-year deal and everyone else got 1-year deals. And that doesn't mean that some of these guys won't be back, but you're like, oh, I see the long-term investment there. Got it. New podcast, Beltway Football Pod, JP and Mitch. Mitch told me that you guys were recording. I'm guessing that happened, or you told me you guys were recording. I'm guessing that happened. The people can go listen.
That has happened, and the people can go listen.
Excellent. And also, of course, you can listen to JP tomorrow, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on 106.7 The Fan, and he's on NBC4 with frequency as well on your television. JP, great to watch practice with you today, man. I'll see you next week in Ashburn, if not around the office sooner.
Take care, Hoff. Thanks, buddy.
This is The Hoffman Show on the Team 980 and the Odyssey app.